ladies and gentlemen. It is Tuesday, so we have quarterbacks, kickers, and running backs coming out today. Do not forget to check out my week in review. I dropped that yesterday. It's got a rundown and a couple takes on every single game, minus the Monday night one from week number 4. It's gonna help you prep for the weeks ahead, help you understand what's going on. So check that out if you have not already. But what do we got for you today? I am doing my top 25 quarterbacks for those in 2 quarterback and Superflex leagues. I also have the top 15 kicker options available. These are the best plays that are going to help you to dominate your opponents and go get those dubs. If you haven't done it already, please crush that like button for me. Every one of those helps out a ton, as well as making a subscription to the channel. Cannot thank my current subscribers enough. Could not, would not do it without you guys. Hop on the bandwagon on our way to our first 500 subscribers. We had a big boost last week, so let's keep that up. And with that done and out of the way, let's get into quarterback rankings. To start it off, at numero uno, we have Josh Allen. Now, maybe greedy owners are saying he didn't do enough last week, but he had to play first and foremost in horrible weather conditions. And I will admit that by his lofty standards, he did have an off game, so to speak. He still finished as a top 5 play for you, so do not worry about it too much. Next up is Jalen Hurts. He had his worst game of the season by far against Jacksonville. He's gonna rebound in a big way in this awesome mobile quarterback showdown. My third ranked quarterback is Patrick Mahomes. It would not be a surprise to me at all if Patty can get the number 1 spot when all is said and done with this matchup against Vegas. They give the 4th most points to the position, and he was on absolute fire against Tampa Bay. Lamar Jackson is the next guy I'm talking about. He could not quite figure out what was going on in the banged up Bills secondary, and he could have issues against Cincinnati. The Bengals allow less than 12 points a game to passers, and yet he is a smash play. Rounding out my top 5, I have Justin Herbert. The ribs do not seem to be bothering him at this point very much. He's averaging 323 passing yards, 2 tutties per game in his last 3. Joe Burrow starts off tier number 2 for me. He put up another top 10 finish in week number 4. And even though that Ravens back end is starting to tighten up a little bit, at least for what they were early on in the season, his receivers continue to make it easy for him to punish a defense. To 7, it is Kyler Murray in the matchup with Philly. If the Cardinals were able to play every quarter like they do the 4th quarter, Murray would be a MVP candidate. But as it stands, he's just a meh guy for the first 3, and then he brings the magic. That is not going to work if they want to beat the Eagles, so hopefully Kyler can pull it out a little earlier in this one. Tom Brady just lost to Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes in back-to-back weeks. I think angry Brady comes out in this game and he takes it out on the poor Falcons. This is going to be an encore to last week's quarterback 4 overall finish. At number 9 and at the top of my 3rd tier, I have Derek Carr. He was carried last week by that running game. Josh Jacobs had himself a day, but that is not going to be enough against Kansas City. I think Carr airs it out a ton here in Arrowhead as they try to pull off the upset. Rounding out my top 10, I have Russell Wilson. If you were rewarded for the faith last week, you might as well go back to the well. There is no reason to turn back now. The loss of Javonte Williams is critical, and I think it means that Russ is going to have to go to the air even more often. He showed last week that he is able to handle that load on his shoulders. At number 11, it is Kirk Cousins. He's been doing just enough so far to warrant a start, but he has not put up an over-the-top performance just yet, which keeps him out of my top 10. I doubt that he does it here, but you love the floor and the upside that this Vikings offense provides. At number 12, and the last quarterback one I have for week number 5 is Trevor Lawrence. To be honest, we probably should have seen last week coming to an extent. But the 5 turnovers that he had, no one could have guessed. That was just brutal. I bet, though, that he bounces back against a Houston squad that just gave up 340 yards through the air to Justin Herbert. Next up, it's Jared Goff. He is lucky number 13, and yes, it is Goff before Rodgers, and it is a beautiful thing. The Gofffather is quarterback 5 on the year. He has finished in the top 8 in 2 out of the last 3 games. Now, if that is not enough for you, he also gets the Patriots this week. They allow over 21 points a game to the position, which is bottom 10 in the league. Speaking of Aaron Rodgers, he's next to start tier number 4. He's just quarterback 21 on the year thus far. He is still holding on to a halfway decent floor. However, his ceiling seems to be caving in on him completely. I think it's more of the same here against the Giants. Matthew Stafford is the next guy I am talking about. He gets a brutal matchup here against a top 6 unit. The Cowboys are giving up just 13 points a game to signal callers, and the Rams have yet to become a well-oiled machine this season. Ryan Tannehill kicks off tier number 5. I love the efficiency, Ryan. Do not get me wrong. But when Derrick Henry is out there punking kids, Tannehill basically just tosses the ball around a couple of times and watches. There's going to be a stout front 7 that they're facing here in Washington, so I'm betting that Tannehill has to have a solid outing because of that. Carson Wentz is my 17th ranked quarterback, and if we knew what we were getting out of Wentz, he would easily be a quarterback 1 this week without question. Unfortunately, we know that that is not a reality, and it's not Carson's thing. He's put up back-to-back weeks outside the top 25. This week, he could basically be a top 5 dude, or he could bomb like he has in the last couple games. Next up, at 18, all the way up, is Jacoby Brissett, and even at 18, this is a tiny bit disrespectful. Brissett has not dropped out of the top 16 since back in week 1. The Chargers have struggled mightily to stop the pass so far this year. However, LA is even worse at stopping the run than they are at stopping the pass. And they have these guys, may have heard of them, Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. I think they dominate, so Brissett gets knocked a little bit for that. To 19, I have Geno Smith against the Saints. And full disclosure, for me, this does feel like the type of game that Geno and the Hawks get a snapback to reality by a good defense. They didn't have to worry about that last week, so beware if you are starting him in Superflex. Now, all of that being said, Smith was quarterback 7 in week number 3, and he was quarterback 2 last week, so he earns a spot in the top 20. At tiers number 6, starting it off is Marcus Mariota. I am putting him in the top 20, but I do not love it. Tampa Bay's defense is going to respond after getting embarrassed last week. There's no Cordero Patterson here, and that is a blow that this offense cannot exactly take at this point. But hopefully his feet come into play like they did in week 1, and he's able to put up a solid performance. Jimmy G is my next guy at 21. He's probably going to settle in right around this ranking the entire season. He's not going to kill you most likely, but his weapons around him have to be really special for him to sniff top 15 territory. At number 22, I have Zach Wilson against the Dolphins. I would feel a lot better about this call if Wilson hadn't come in and did what he did at the beginning of last year and throw a couple picks. But the Dolphins do give up almost 25 points a game to the position, so this matchup is ripe for a good showing. Daniel Jones, if he plays, and right now he is trending on doing so, is next at 23. This has been Jones's floor for the entire season, so if he does play, he is a decent option at this ranking. The Packers are not going to make it easy. They allow bottom 5 numbers to the position thus far. My last quarterback 2 option is Davis Mills against the Jaguars. Now, Mills has just 1 finish outside of this ranking on the season. He's going to do just enough for you to want a little bit more, but know that that is not truly in the realm of possibilities. He has thrown for 240 plus yards in 3 of 4 games this season. The last quarterback that I have ranked is Justin Fields. He is yet to throw for 175 yards. He hasn't thrown a touchdown in 2 weeks. What year are we in exactly? Thankfully, he does have that rushing work. It gives him a decent floor. He's racked up 45 yards on the ground in back-to-back games. And with that done, it is a great time to remind you, hit that like button for me on the video if you are enjoying the content. Make sure you keep an eye out, and it's so important while you subscribe because Relentless Press has tons of content every day, every single week. I'm dropping 10 plus videos. If you do not subscribe, you might miss something. Drop a comment down below, get the conversation started. Whether you like my rankings or not, I want to hear about it. Now, let's get into kickers. Justin Tucker gets a matchup against Cincinnati. They allow the second most points per game to the position. Nuff said. Ryan Succop against Atlanta is in it too. And at number 3, I have Evan McPherson against Baltimore. Greg Joseph gets Chicago this week. Greg the Leg has a pair of top 5 finishes already. And so far, the Vikings have yet to figure out how to get the ball into the end zone, but that only helps him. So more opportunities are incoming. Tyler Bass rounds out my top 5, and at 6, I have Matt Gay, fresh off a big performance on Monday night. He gets Dallas this week. It has been a bend, but do not break sort of defensive plan for the Cowboys. They give up 12 points a game to the position. That is 3rd most in the league, and that bodes well for Gay. At 7, it is Jake Elliott, and I have Robbie Gould at number 8. Daniel Carlson is next. He gets the Chiefs. If the Raiders are able to hang in this game, and I know that that is a big if, he is going to have plenty of chances. The fear is that the Chiefs get up big here and the Raiders forget about the kicking game altogether. Riley Patterson rounds out my top 10, and I have Mason Crosby against the Giants in at 11. At 12, and the last kicker one, if you will, is Jason Sanders. I think even without Tua, the Dolphins have enough playmakers to move the ball. In addition, they play the Jets. To 13, it is Younghoe Koo. I guess I've been saying that wrong for weeks now, but we're going to go with Younghoe from here on out. He gets Tampa Bay. And my 14th ranked kicker is Brandon McManus against Indy. The last kicker I have at 15 is Dustin Hopkins against Cleveland. The Chargers offense is finally starting to maybe put it all together. The defense can't stop the run. I think we're in for plenty of points in this game, and that means opportunities in the kicking game. And that's it. All I got for you guys. Hope that the content here is going to help you out to make the best decisions possible. And if you need a little help, you always got me. Drop a comment down below. I would love to answer it out and help you. Make sure you click that like button for me. And if you would not mind, subscribe to the channel. Very appreciative for both of those things. This is Relentless Press. I'm your host, Abraham Opass, and we will see you next time.